Hi friends, I'm White Panther, and today I am going to be answering the question, what is BEM? Have you ever worked in CSS where you change something in one place and something completely unexpected happens in another place? So have I, all the time. BEM can help. One of the biggest problems I had when I started out doing front-end development was I was working in a huge CSS file and all of my styles were not in a system, and some styles clashed with other styles, and if you change one thing there, something there changes and you get into a bit of a CSS nightmare. BEM is something that can help with that. With CSS, you need a system. If you're just starting out and you want to focus on building CSS in an easy to manage and systematic way, let's get to the video. BEM stands for Block Element Modifier, and it's a really nice way to scope your CSS when you're working in plain CSS files. Block Element Modifier. CSS in JS, such as styled components, has kind of solved this problem for us, but we don't always want to use CSS modules and styled components. So here's how you can scope your CSS really nicely using the technique of BEM. Say you have a block, which might be a paragraph or a section of your page. That's your block. You might have different elements in that block, such as a paragraph or a heading or an image or anything else. That's your element. And then you might need to modify that element, such as aligning it right or making it bigger or making it a different color. And that's your modifier. And this is how we write out BEM syntax in CSS. You have a block, and your element is always prefixed by your block name with generally 1 or 2 underscores depending on your preference. And your modifier is always attached to your block with 1 or 2 dashes. So say for example, I have a block which is, I'm going to display block, and let's give it a border of 1 pic solid red. My element might be a paragraph. So I'm going to give that a font size of 1 rem. And I'm going to text align that left. My modifier might be to align that right. So it will be text align right. And you don't need to repeat any of the other properties because we're going to chain these classes in the DOM. Let's call this section, and let's call this section paragraph, and let's call this section paragraph right. And what's really nice about this is it makes your code really nice and self-documenting. You know that you have a particular section, you know that you have a particular paragraph, and this particular modifier aligns your paragraph right. So let's go to the HTML, and here we've got our section, and here we've got our section paragraph. Now what we do on this next one is we put the paragraph on as well, and we put the right on. And then when we go to our HTML, you can see that we've got a nice red line around our block, which is our section. We've got our normal paragraph, and then we've got our modified paragraph. So BEM takes scoped classes and stacks them together to allow them to be modified really easily, all within a block. If you wanted to create a second section that was styled very differently, you would not reuse section, you would create a new block with new elements and new modifiers. A hero banner, for example, I would create my hero banner block class. I would create all of the hero banner elements inside, so hero banner title, for example. And if I wanted a different type of title that would modify it, I could do something like hero banner title red. And you might want to create modifiers to your blocks as well. So you could have hero banner big or something like that. One other thing about BEM that's really useful to follow is rather than relying on inheritance on parent nodes, you should generally specify all of the properties that you need in your CSS classes when you're using BEM. So for example, in a section paragraph, I would have font size, I would have text line, I would have line height, color, font family, letter spacing, if you needed to change that, maybe 1 pixels. I would have all of the properties that I need to make sure that the cascade and the inheritance doesn't interfere with that scoped class. It's a system that you can use to make your CSS really readable and self-documenting and enable the sections of your pages to have scoped styles really, really nicely. I got a repo. If you want to take a look at some of the code that I've written today, you can go over to GitHub, where I've got an example repo that tells you about what I've been talking about today and explains BEM with all of the code that I used. Links are in the description. I have this voice that I put on when I do videos. I don't know what it is. 3 top reasons why someone should learn BEM. Number one, it makes your CSS really readable. Number two, it teaches you how to scope styles. And number three, it just makes your life really easy because you're not going to be clashing styles around each other. And also, without using a framework, but creating your own system, I think it really helps you learn CSS more effectively. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. Plenty more content coming your way. And click the bell and stuff, right? I can't do YouTube.